I just filed it away. I got one from Bree this morning on the, well, now mine's
Maybe down, but make sure it
I
is.
don't understand this.
my screen's froze up. I can't move it.
Is it?
Huh?
Says mute.
It says mute.
Okay, then we should be good.
So, lady.
You guys.
This is.
If you pay extra for that, you can try that.
There we go.
Hey, Tony.
That's what, that's why.
Maybe you guys.
Russ, you highway 26.
There's been a lot more since then. Dennis had said he can make it on the 4th then, that's the last I heard.
He's gonna make it on the
But then he
4th.
also knew about this one, and I don't see him. But he said he would be here on that.
But it worked. Which one?
That's yours. I didn't know.
I have a spreadsheet.
Send Ethan a message. If you have a chance to look at all these employee wages.
Did I get them?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
When did that one?
I don't remember it now. Do you, Bob?
I can't find it. I don't
You get
know.
one?
Yes, on the screen.
Did you get that one, John?
Yeah, we got that a while ago from, I believe, Tony.
What's that?
That spreadsheet, or maybe Bree. Bree, did you send that spreadsheet there? It's on the screen.
No, that's Darren's.
Oh,
Well, somebody sent it to us.
I had sent you,
Was-
I don't know, Bree and I probably both have sent you stuff over the course of a few weeks. Some I had forwarded to all of you, what Corey had put together as well.
Which had this in it. This was inside of that too, so that might have been what you're
I
thinking
sent
of.
everybody everything we have, so.
Is that public safety?
It was labeled, well, you can see what's like, 2023, and it's kind of lit.
Oh, there it is.
what was
Yes,
the
whenever
date?
everybody's
What was the
ready,
date on it?
I don't know where Dennis is at, but
I actually have saved, it looks like it came February 8th.
February the 8th.
So, yeah, I found it. This. I say February 8th is when I saved it to my thing, so.
Mine's the 7th. I found it.
Tony, did Dennis say he was going to be here in person? Did.
he was just at the commissioners meeting this morning.
Do you have his number? Maybe he got held up
I
somewhere.
mean, I don't think we hold it up because we're gonna stop at 4, so
That was offset.
his vice president's
Yeah.
here, so.
Just let Corey start.
Before you start the meeting, we get going.
Just get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling, Corey.
All right, we're official. So do we hand it off to, do we just go straight to him, or how do you guys organize this?
Well, I, as you all know, I invited Darren back for a longer, in-depth discussion, he had come to a council meeting with the commissioners here, just to kind of give a brief synopsis on it. This meeting is to take a deeper dive on what Darren does for what, I forget how many counties. A lot.
Yeah.
So I think we wanted this to be more of a, like, what if we did
Yeah.
this scenario?
So Darren can answer what-if questions. He can tell you whatever question you have about lit. And I'm sure he already knows about House Bill 1499, which is going to affect some of the lit rates going forward.
Actually, no, what's that?
It's, I got it right here. I don't know if you want to take this and read it.
Synopsize for us? All of that has now been passed, but that's more, I think, with property tax.
Mine was on the
Oh,
7th.
over 60.
In other words, for 24 and 25, they're going to give more credits to homeowners to make up for the high tax bills this year. That's what they passed.
Okay, I haven't been keeping track of, until it got before the vote on it,
Yeah,
it's like,
it just got passed.
How does that get us?
So
This is Les
State
brought
Senate
in,
Bill
basically.
417 deals with a
Yeah,
lit
it's- I
tax
haven't
for
read it, but I think
additional
it's like some
expenses.
kind of credit,
But
but
they
it's
just
less tax
created it.
basically
So,
for homeowners because
Anyway.
of the assessed values being so high. I haven't read it yet, that's just what I heard.
I just talked to Travis Holman this morning on the phone. He was one of the sponsors of that bill, so he was telling me what it was about, so.
Well, get to that, I'll get to that later, so. This spreadsheet's for a what if on, every 0.01 that you change is $95,209. And, so the example is if you wanted to do a public safety, I got tired of doing points, so a 1 is like 0.01. It's going to generate $95,000. I think Corey, in your email, you're talking about PSAP. You didn't know what it was or didn't know how it worked or?
Well, I think,
That's just for 911, right?
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, maybe I guess just to summarize where we're kind of at right now. I put together that one that we sent out that just showed like, if we went, this is my best analysis, right? So
Yeah.
me trying here, but going out to 2026 and phasing in the net effect that I'm trying to accomplish would basically take the economic development, which is about 650,000 more than is budgeted each year. So if we bring that rate down a little bit, the public safety amount go up a little bit because they're about 250,000 underwater each year.
Okay.
And then basically start phasing out that property tax relief that sounds like it's going to eventually get phased out no matter what. So I'm trying to map that out over a 4-year span to try and see what that would look like.
Okay, so the example you said, see if we did a -5.05.
So I think what I came out with was taking it from 0.4 down to 0.3. Again, this is over 4 years,
so
but
that's,
you know.
0.1. Over here, no, I got it back. Let's see. There we go. Negative.
Then public safety would go from 0.25 up to 0.3.
Okay. So right here is a 5. So right here, your CETA is 0.4, take it down to 0.3, but a public safety at 0.25 up to 0.3.
Mm-hmm.
Now 911, are you,
So, Ruby, where are we at on 911?
Cash balance in the 911 fund
Like,
or what?
are we running in the negative yet on that, or, because we're trending that way, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the cash balance is down.
So they have a
By
they
how
have a
much?
net negative of 146 a year. And they have 159 as of the last one you sent out.
I mean, the cash balance right now is a little bit over 116,000. They brought in 145,000 this year, but they've spent out 231. So they've spent almost 100,000 more than they've brought in.
So far, yeah, so for the year, if they spent everything and collect everything, it'd be 146 negative.
Even on what else, like, so they get 36,254 each month, but then you get one distribution a year, but we never know what that's going to be until they send an email and say, hey, your distribution is gonna be here tomorrow and here's your amount.
That's usually 50 to
Mhm.
80, somewhere around that.
Say,
So when I said 146 negative, that was assuming that 50,000 at the end. Like a 50,000 extra, you know what I mean?
So we're running in the negative right now, right?
Right.
So it
We
sounds
got
to me
about a
like
year.
we would have a strong case for setting up PSAP right now, wouldn't we?
See, PSAP is right off the top, where public safety, you have divided up in between the county and the other 5 units of government.
Right.
So that's why the great part of PSAP, before it's divided, it's off the top to pay your 911.
Yes.
So
So-
yes, that's a good way. So like here, at a .02, you'd be generating $190,000. It is part of public safety, but again, like I said, it's off the top first, and then the public safety, what's left gets divided through. So if you
So
had it, go ahead.
Is that something we want to do this year? Because it kind of seems like we do. Maybe set that .02.
But probably every county I've been working with, which is about 7 of them right now, 2 of them already had it, but they didn't have enough. So we've been moving it in increments of anywhere from .1 to .3 or 4. Because they're in the same boat as you, they generate anywhere from 50 to 105,000. So in your case, .02 would generate 190. It's just a matter of how much you think you're going to go in the red. And you can adjust this every year.
Right.
It's just, like you said, rearranging. If you don't need it in seated, then we pull away .1 from it or .2 and then move it over to PSAP. So here's the example though, is you got, the end result here is your share at .6, seated at .3, public safety at .3, PSAP at .02. Now, the thing is now at work, well, actually, we dropped the rate because we took a big chunk out of seated.
Mhm.
Now, do you have an ambulance service that you pay for currently?
We pay Adams County.
Commissioner's budget, right?
Because last year, for this year, this is the first year that it's available now that if you qualify, I don't know all the rules and everything, but I know Wells County, they formed one last year for this year to pay for their ambulance service.
PSAP.
No, it's
a whole
an
different rate, A
EMS
whole new one.
for
Oh, yeah.
ambulance service. So if you have an ambulance service that the county's paying for, you can, again, do the same thing like PSAP. That is dedicated to pay for that service.
We pay the hospital to do that, right?
Yeah, that's 55,000, I think every.
That's more
The
than that.
55,
That's for the
55,000 one time a year to go towards
Like
a new
30,
truck.
Yeah,
and then
55 is for the ambulance.
Well, you're paying for someone else, therefore you don't qualify at that point. You have to have your own ambulance.
Oh, it's gotta be
service.
ours. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be yours and you're paying for it in this list.
So it doesn't matter. We don't qualify.
Yeah.
Needed for their
So our rate is 1.624. If we took .02 off the
Now,
top,
it doesn't mean you can't use seated money. With cooperation of the commissioners, use seated money to be paying for that.
I think they pay for that out of their budget right now.
Well, if it's out of their normal budget, that means it's property taxes, which are subject to cap losses, where seated is income tax and it's 100% money at that point. Property taxes, you've got all the different
So
Problem.
better to take it out of there?
income tax is the best way to pay for things that are a given, your perf, your insurance, your ambulance service, your PSAP, the things that you don't have a choice, you've got to pay. It's nice to be able to take it from income tax and not put the burden on your property taxes, which are, again, are subject to cap losses. But again, balancing, trying to then eliminate, so if we go down here and change and put in a 37.4. We're gonna give your, eventually, as you say, your property tax relief from 0.374 down to 0.
Mhm.
The end result now is you've gone from 1.624 down to 1.22.
Mhm. Yep.
If that's what your goal is, to try to get a lower income tax rate. Again, I agree with your email that the lower your income taxes, the more you want to bring people to you. Because property taxes are what they are, you know.
But you'd also want to have the economic development money there to further the cause. You know, you don't want to get them here and then have, you know, nothing to show for it too.
So the big thing I was thinking at here is that right now, I think we're number 33 in the state for counties. So we're the top, we're 33 out of 92, right? So we're in a good spot for income tax, but that's not a number that's going to draw somebody, right? But if we're within striking distance of a number that could actually draw, you know, that's where my thought was, if we get to, like, if we didn't have that PSAP on there, because I wasn't sure about that yet, but if that wasn't there, you'd be at 1.1. With what I had sent out, you'd be at 1.19, which would put you at number 11. So now you're a number that I think you could actually promote, you know, and say, hey,
Well,
we're top 15%.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to first tackle the problem we have is this fund running dry.
Yeah, and this would fix that and get your rate down.
Well, two funds.
911 and
Yeah.
public safety.
So that would do that. And the real kicker to all this is when you cut those money out of the property tax relief, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not actually losing that revenue. It's just now it's deductions not coming off your property taxes, right?
You're running,
It's kind of like you're transferring it,
We just reallocated.
but now you have a number that you can actually attract people.
right now, you're running at 40 cents in the dollar. Every dollar you bring in is a credit. 40 cents of that actually comes in as revenue. The other 60 cents on every dollar, in your case, the $3.5 million, $3,560,000, 40% of that is coming in as revenue
Mhm.
to all units of government. But 60% of that is, you know, just giving
So
credit.
1.7 million, we're not actually bringing in, roughly,
Okay.
right?
Is that what you're saying?
40% of that, or 60% of that is deduction, reduction in
Yeah.
taxes on people.
So let's just say, for example, if that went to 0, does that mean that you're going to have more than 3.5 million coming in property taxes now?
Well, you're gonna collect.
Is that deduction's gone, or 1.7?
The 3.74?
Yeah.
So 60% of that we're not collecting.
Correct.
Yes, so
If you
if
move it to
we
property tax,
reallocate
we'll-
it out of there, we will collect it.
Yes.
Yes.
If you
60
eliminate,
cents that you're not getting by moving it to one of the other buckets, it's 100%.
Yeah, and what was it, 3.2 million?
3,560,831 in the gray area.
So actually, it's gonna be about 1.8 something million that we'd be collecting ex more.
in property taxes.
1.8.
If you just get rid of this, it's no longer relief to your taxes.
If you eliminate the whole amount, you would end up losing on circuit breakers, the 40 cents on the dollar.
For people that are
But
in
the flip
cities.
side, that you're making more money on all these other ones. And that allows you, because your situation, unlike my other counties, very little of your money, 40 cents on the dollar is what you're bringing in. I've got counties that are at 60, 70%.
Mhm.
Not 100, though, that's a problem.
Collection.
Huh?
67% collection rate.
The credits towards a bill, people are hitting caps. The example,
So some of these people would be capped out and we wouldn't be receiving those.
here we are.
Mhm.
The
But the flip side
example
is
is
you get 100% of it instead of
tax
40%
rates.
of it. So it's,
Here's your tax rates,
Some people's property
right
taxes are
here.
going up.
Decatur City, this township, District 14, at 3.18 means people are getting credits to their bills, so they're not benefiting from that because they're hitting the cap.
Mhm.
But you as a government entity, those credits that are applied to those bills, you're making the money. Did that make any sense? What is District 14? Can you give me an example? Is that obviously it's in Decatur, the city limits.
It's a city of here.
Huh?
City of here.
The whole city of Decatur? Right here, here's, 22 is also Decatur.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's 3.1, okay. So anyone living in Decatur, anyone here live in the city limits here? All right, so let's, for argument's sake, you two people are getting $100 credit on your bill. I'm just grabbing a number, just say $100. The catch is you're hitting a cap of $200. So the credits, the $100 that's applied to your bill, you're not seeing a dime of it. Because you're protected by Indiana Constitution that you can't pay the $200. But the $100 against that $200, as a government entity, that $100 comes in as revenue. And then your percentage is probably around 20% as county government. You're making 20 cents on the dollar of that $100.
So for example, that 3.5 million or whatever it was that comes in from the property tax relief rate, that is not dollars that is just deposited into our account somewhere. That is applied as credits towards people's property tax bills.
Yes.
So if you eliminate that lit rate, it's not like we're necessarily losing $3.5 million. Over here, property tax bills will go up, not 100%, because the caps are blocking people in the trees.
Homeowners are getting 21.3%
Yeah.
reduction.
So it's essentially transferring that tax over to property taxes, basically,
Yeah, yeah.
subject to the, yeah, I got you.
And none of it's realized. I guess I'm now confused on if that cap is not met, so the homeowner wouldn't be paying that, say, the $200 anyhow, so it was never paid. So how are we as a government body receiving something that was never paid anyhow?
That's what I call phony money.
I mean, is it just on paper, or is it gonna be
Yeah,
realized?
it's just on paper in that if his bill, $100,000 home, and the tax rate is 3%, that means it's $3,000. I'm dropping off the 0.184, I mean, if it's just
Gotcha.
3%. It would be a $3,000 bill at 3%. The catch is, a home is at 1% of the gross amount. So it's only $1,000. So there's $2,000 you can't collect from his bill. It's, for no better words, phony money. You can't budget, you can't,
Right.
you don't get.
So we
Now, on
would-
the other hand,
on our sheet, though,
before the final bill at the bottom where it says he owes the $1,000, if we went up there and said, okay, he's getting, like I said, 21% against whatever his bill was. So let's say it's $500 that he's getting lit money towards his $3,000. Before he ever got to the bottom and said, oh, wait a minute, he can't pay more than $1,000. No, the attempt was $3,000.
Mhm.
But, oh, wait a minute, you have lit in your county. We're going to give him $500 against the $3,000. And now he only needs to pay $2,500 out of his own pocket. So that $500 lit came in as revenue to the county, all units of government, that $500 against the money you couldn't collect anyways. Isn't that kind of crazy on our laws? But the end result, the bottom is, wait a minute, no, he's capped out at 1%. He can only pay $1,000. So you're still losing the $1,500 against his bill.
So does the property tax relief credit apply to the original three, the
To the
original
gross
rate?
amount.
And it does, so if you have a cap, let's say at a home for, you're not, in your analysis, you're down to 1,000, Was the credit up here still, or does the credit apply on top of the cap?
Up here,
So
against
they
the money
never
we
even
could
see it.
collect.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, you go to someone outside the county, city limits, like most of them are 1.75. At that point, a home, because of deductions, it takes a 3% rate even to get them to get a cap. So at this point, these people and all the ones that are 1.7 something, they're getting credits
Mhm.
on their bills.
All right.
So when you reduce your lit credits, like I said, right now it's 21%, you cut it in half, that means they got to come up with 10%.
Mhm.
Now, I can go to, let's, here. Here's a fact. Your credits this year were $3,838,000. So what I try to do is 3 different possibilities here to get you roughly the same amount of credits if you didn't change it, but we rearranged. Right now, you're giving most of it to homeowners
Mhm.
and a little bit to cap 2.
What are your Calc 1, 2, and what rate are those?
That's where I was, on this other spreadsheet. I was playing around with the numbers, what ifs. So I'll go back there for you. What ifs. Right now, like I said, your current is 21.32%. It's not up there, but it's on my sheet. If I click on default up here, it would say that your homestead will get 21%. The thing is, like I said, you're only making just short of 40 cents on the dollar. I was trying to see, can I get you a better return on your money? And the best I was able to get was close to 50%, another 10%. In doing that, instead of just giving it to cap 1 mostly and a little cap 2, you can see I also gave it to cap 3, businesses, industrial, and then I also try to hit res, which is normal homes, no longer qualifying res was also commercial apartments. You can't do that anymore. Res means a normal home, but you don't live in it. You're renting it. And mobile homes that are rentals. That's what res is. So I try to do a balancing act to say, okay, calculation 1, if I did this. Calculation 2, okay, I increased it from 1.89 to 2.3. I kept 2 the same, and I lowered cap 1. Every result I did, I kept trying to, I played with this for about 2 or 3 hours. And I found out the res is where you're losing most of your money because it's a cap 2. And your rates, like I said, are 1.74. So they're right on the edge. Another year or two, you're going to be hitting caps in rentals like crazy. Businesses, they're at cap 3, so they're still not hitting caps. And only in Decatur, the city limits, are everyone's hitting a cap other than blind, disabled, veterans, all this miscellaneous small deductions. Pretty much everyone else is hitting a cap. It's outside of Decatur that you don't have rates that high. So anyways, within 30 seconds, I could do a what if and rearrange. What if we gave it all to home? What if we gave it all to cap 2 or cap 3? And we can see what the results are. At that point, I can then go to any parcel. So Corey, what is your house number?
331 Salmon Run, SALMON.
SAL. Close enough.
Second one, yeah.
Right here. So the example is this year, your actual taxes were $4,096. Oh, you live in Decatur?
Burn.
Oh, Burn. See, I don't have the rates. What district? Burn. Oh, 3.1.
Sure.
Therefore, you're capped out. That's why your taxes won't change.
Mm-hmm.
You're like Decatur in that you're not benefiting, you're paying income taxes. You're not benefiting from the income tax.
All right.
So
So let me back it up, maybe zoom out, I guess, a little bit.
Okay.
If you were over the next 3 years, just say, for the reasons that you're saying, like, these aren't giving us that great of a, not doing what they're intended to do. And I've heard from a couple people now that the state doesn't really like these, like there may be an expiration on these down the road. So if that's the case, then we just do it ahead of time before they tell us to do it, and we phase this thing out over 3 years. What
Right.
would that effect be? Property taxes are gonna go up, your lit changes, how much of it, are you a net positive or net negative? Or basically a wash?
You're net positive over here.
Again, you aren't bringing in much money to begin with through the lit, so anything you put to all those other buckets, the economic development, the PSAP, the public safety,
But if you don't reallocate, you just get rid of that one, just that piece.
if you don't give it any bucket, then the bottom line is you will lose revenue. And each year you go by, we'll continue to lose even more revenue as your rates keep going up. Bern and Decatur, you're capped out. See, again, it's a matter of viewpoints. Some counties are saying, we can't have that tax anyways. Caps are a fact. So why are you telling us we're losing it? And it's like, well, because, I mean, it's the Constitution. You know, you can't pay more than 1%, 2%, or 3% based on, what category your house or business, whatever it's in. So again, I can't come up with the right terminology because one person will say, we can't collect it anyway, so what's the point of the credits? Now, here is the example, calculation 3 that I just did. And where's your house? Oh, there it is. And the second one. As you can see, the last calc 3 has no lit credits. It didn't affect you one iota. Your bill is still the bill of $4,096 at the current assessment and rates of today. Because again, where you live, you're not benefiting. Same thing for an indicator. So it's not going to affect you one iota. The catch was, currently this year, the county, all units of government, were getting $1,580 of lit money from your bill. And then county government say it's 20% of that. As the lit goes down, now it's not getting that revenue.
Mhm.
But as you said, if you did move it over to one of the other buckets, then it's 100% of the money.
It's basically a tax increase at that point, though.
To you, it's not.
Well, right, but I mean, across the board, though.
Across the board, let's see. What's your house number?
5576.
5576. Let's see how, it's unique enough.
Yeah.
All right, so your bill is 3,746 right now. If it was to be eliminated, your bill would be $4,359. Because this year you got $672 of lit money applied to your bill. But if you were to eliminate it in 1 year, right now, boom, next year, you would not get $674. You personally would have to come up with another $674. If you phase it out, it's just given time. Again, it's a matter of the more everyone gets close, the more your rate goes up. Whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, eventually
They're all gonna hit the caps eventually.
they're all going to hit the caps, and credits
This
to
is gonna
bills
be
are
worthless.
meaningless when it comes to what's out of your personal pocket.
Which is why I'm kind of thinking, let's just get ahead of the game.
And that's why the state is trying to do this, in that they know you're one of the anomalies, unique. You're not hitting the caps yet. My guess is 70-80% of the state counties are hitting caps. Therefore, lit credits are, whether you put it to the buckets or put it to credits, it's all revenue coming in. The average income tax rate used to be 2% when all this got into place. Now it's 2.5%. And we were just looking at that. Your rate is 1.6. You're already well below what the state average is of 2.5. If you actually could get it down to 1.1, 2, somewhere in there. Yeah, again, I agree with your argument. Your opinion was you are now encouraging people to come, not just live here, but work here. I mean, they can work somewhere else, but the taxes still come here because it doesn't matter where they work. It's where they live is where the income tax comes into. The example is Grant County, City of Marion is a rental place because nobody wants, the houses are going down and they're hitting caps and nobody wants to live in the City of Marion, but they want to live in Gas City, the same county, but the houses are better, the houses are selling for more money. So everyone's buying houses in Marion and then renting them.
Okay, let's see if I got this right. So that 3.5-ish million that it says there
Yeah.
is really not a real number because what's actually happening is you said it's more like 1.7 million or something like that that's actually getting collected off of the property tax.
1.8 and change.
There's 40%. $1,424,000 actually comes in as revenue.
So if you, over a number of years, completely phase out the property tax relief, your income tax rate goes down, that you don't actually see any decline in lit revenue per se, because that number is not really a real number. It's a deduction off your property tax. And then you collect the same 1.4 million less on the other side. So as a whole, the county is not seeing any higher or lower real revenue number change.
I would agree with that statement for the next 2 or 3 years, yes.
Yep, okay.
The way things are going and.
That's what I
and
thought.
housing, yes, I
wanted to
agree
make
with
sure I
that
wasn't missing something.
currently under the circumstances we have, yes.
Okay.
That's why right now is a good opportunity time
Yep.
to rearrange and phase out and be one of the unique counties that actually lowers income taxes.
Mhm.
Again, that's where I have a meeting last month with Grant County, and then this month, like we're doing now, it was a work session. And this month, they're actually going to vote on it. But see, the catch is, they're at 2.55. And the maximum you can have non-property tax relief is 2.5. And I said, you're already 0.05 above what you can put to your bucket. So if any, you can lower your income tax. All you're doing is saying is property tax relief. People themselves have to come up and pony up for the money themselves. The catch is you're at 0.374. They're at 1.
Basically, people that live in the cities are already hitting caps.
Yes, in your 2 towns that you have, yes.
So does the PSAP, does that affect the lit? I mean, so let's say we put 0.02 to get the 190.
Does
that actually
go
come
in increments? I heard you say something about 0.2 before. Is it?
Every one of these, they're stressing, like your 0.374, they don't want you doing a third decimal.
Right.
They want everything to be 0.01 increments.
Right.
So 0.02 generates $190,000.
But PSAT themselves, they don't, I thought I heard something about like there's a minimum. If you're going to do it, it has to be a certain amount or.
There was a maximum.
The maximum.
Okay.
3 years ago.
So you could do any.
Example, Grant County is a taxing board. Are you a taxing board here? Are you?
With the tax council, Is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah.
Well, we're 55% of it, so.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in the same boat in that you are a Coa County. What originally was Coa County? There's a taxing board, but you are the majority of that vote. Grant County government is not the majority. They have to have at least 1 Marion or 3 others. The catch is the law says PSAP if you didn't have the majority, you have the right to do up to a 0.2 on your own,
That's
without,
that's the number.
without the taxing board voting on it, but that means the tax rate goes up. Because the
Right.
taxing board has to agree on lowering the rate. So if you implement it on your own, then again, at 55%, you can do anything you want. But
Right.
Grand County, they have to all agree. But once they do, then there is no limit other than the 2.5
Total.
total that you can put to these buckets.
Gotcha.
But if we set that at 0.02, is that like, essentially, is that deduct from the 1.624 or? Makes it
If you don't want to
1.6.
raise your income tax,
Yeah,
you
we
have to flip side, take it a 0.02 from something else.
Which if we're phasing out the property tax relief, then that's your spot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're phasing out that, and then the other idea was the CDIT money, you're dropping that by 0.1
Right
because
here,
it's unbudgeted.
right there, I gave your PSAP to give 190,000. But I took away the same 0.02, the same amount, so you still have the same tax rate now.
Yeah, gotcha.
So now we took care of your PSAP. Your 911 is on schedule to be losing money. This hopefully would then help that. And all you did by point, so what is 0.02 divided by 0.374? 0.05%.
Mhm.
In other words, it's a joke. You could fix your PSAP and not really affect your credits to bills, hardly at all. And your revenue, it's a joke. You can move that around without even thinking about it, and nobody's gonna even know the difference.
Yeah.
Your budgets are gonna have 10 times that amount of an effect.
So why not remove the 0.02 out of the tax relief into the 911 versus a PSAP?
911 is, PSAP 911 is interchangeable. That's what it is. Public safety,
PSAP isn't.
that's different. PSAP 911 is underneath public safety.
And public safety needs 0.5 to go up, then
Allocate
it cuts out.
to.
All right, now,
Public safety.
if you said they needed a 0.05, your portion
Yeah, I did our portion.
is $287,000
Yep.
for you, county government.
Yep. And
Now,
then-
in doing that, then we have to lower again, to keep the rate the same, we gotta lower, now, that's gonna have a little bit more effect.
And that CDIT fund is, they're bringing in 650,000 more in a year than they have budgeted.
Well, then, at that point, you don't have to worry about, you don't have to change your credits, you can take it away from seated.
Right, that's where we said if we drop that one by 0.1 over the next 3 years, that would balance them out.
Okay.
And then,
Well, hold on a second though. So this is my big thing with economic development, is I think we need to be careful about that to some degree, just because honestly, if you just said in the meeting I was in the other night, we need, economic development's gonna be a lot more than just trying to do the houses, that's all part of it, housing and all that stuff, but there's a lot more in our county, like our parks, it's a long list,
See there,
but
again, my experience with all county, it's what are you using the economic development money for now?
mhm,
right.
Because again, in Grant County, they take $1 million to pay for their health insurance. In another county, they used $250,000 to fix an elevator, in their own building because they were having a lawsuit against them. So it's a matter of, are you really using it for economic development that it was 10 years ago?
Well, I spoke to Colton Bickle when we were talking about this. I felt it was fair to let him know we were, tossing back and forth to see what the implications on his side would be. And if, does anybody mind if he takes a second?
Well, first
You
of
know,
all,
if you-
though,
yeah,
Colton gets a certain amount allocated to him from the commissioners out of economic development. I mean, economic development, you know, I mean, the hospital is holding us captive with all the money we have to give them. And, we obviously give some to Colton, we've sent some to the highway department. And, you know, honestly, with the highway department, that we started collecting a wheel tax, and the economic development money has not changed. I mean, no, you know, honestly, it went up with nothing else going away, and I'm not saying we need to take a bunch of money away, but we need to be practical in how we look at it. I just don't want to take, you know, but that's all, and that bucket, commissioners decide how that gets dispersed. We decide what that rate is.
And I think it's super important that what I'm talking about when I say take the rate down by 0.1, that is 0 cuts to any budget. In fact, over 3 years, it's a $200,000 increase. Okay, because what I'm saying is last year, you know, for example, in 2023,
Yeah, with the increases.
yeah, their budget right now is 1.79, so basically 1.8 million, right? But the income from that seat right there is 2.44 million, okay? I don't think anyone's ever done that math. So you got $650,000 more coming in than is budgeted. So I'm not saying cut the budget. I'm saying let the budget grow 5% a year roughly. You know, and even if you do that, they end up with 200,000 more than they had this year, and they still would be cash flow positive by 44,000. There's just no reason for it to
After
sit there
3 years.
650,000 positive, you know,
Yeah.
44,000 a year.
So unlike property taxes, I mean, we change this from year to year, it's just a 1-year effect, and we can,
You're required to do it every 2 years to review it, but you can do it every year. Grand County's done it every year for 10 years. Because life changes. So again, the beauty part, as you can see, currently with the numbers you have, the easy way of looking at it is $95,000 increments, one way up or down, 95, every 0.01 changes by $95,000. So what have you come up this year for next year? Because whatever is in your face this year, next year, life change, something happened, you can rearrange it, but again, you're a year.
Well, question that $95,000 or 0.01, is that 40% of the 95,000 that we would actually receive? Or is that 95,000?
This is 95,000 of real money.
Okay.
The credits to the bills, so this gentleman was getting,
I'm gonna get screwed is what you're telling me. I get it.
$674. He's part of the amount that is getting those credits. Where Decatur and Bern here, they're not getting any of the money. So they're looking at, why are we giving credits to bills? And he's saying, well, because it's helping me. It all comes down, where do you live? Again, given time, it won't help you.
Right.
And in your case, where are you living? What district do you know offhand?
Washington Township.
South Washington.
I think I'm in North Washington.
No, that's
No,
Monroe.
down. You were there. Down low. Right below.
Oh, right there, yeah. Okay, 1.8. Oh, let's see if I go back a few years. 1.9. Okay. Your rate is stagnant. That's interesting.
It's because our assessed values went up so much this year that it pushed the rate down.
Okay. I'm just so used to so many of my other counties that I can look at a rate and say, oh, you're at 2%. 3 more years, you're going to be at 3%. It doesn't matter.
I mean, it's been going that way. This year we had our,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got, Decatur, Geneva, Bern, Decatur, Bern. Those are the only ones, those 3 are the only ones taxpayers are not benefiting from. They're paying income taxes, but not seeing any relief on their bill because they're hitting caps. Monroe is getting close.
At a minimum, what if we do, .02 from tax relief for PSAP. That would start at covering 911. And .08 to public safety. That would take property tax relief down to .1. And at the same time, lower the rate, income tax rate.
Public safety or something.
All right, we did the property tax relief from, take a third away is what you're saying.
Essentially drop it from, take .1 away from property tax relief.
I did that.
.02 would be PSAP and .08 would be public safety.
And your tax rate though stays the same because what you took away from one, you put to the other, so your tax rate is still 1.624.
Right. Now, but I would have said do a little bit more. Well, first of all, public safety let's see, because
Now
they are.
Now you're at $459,000 to county government for public safety.
Which you don't need that much. They're only in the hole 180. So that's why I was saying if we did 0.5 for them, that'd be more, give them an extra like 75,000 basically.
At .04, it's 229,000.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that and then you're still 40,000 ahead of where they need. So then from there.
Now you've dropped your rate from 1.62 down, 4 down to 1.584.
By doing what now?
He's saying drop the credits by a third, by the 0.1,
That's what he said.
but only 0.02 to 911
So that's
and
no cuts, like,
0.04 to public safety. County government gets $230,000 roughly for public safety that you weren't getting before. And Bern got 98,000, oh no, Decatur did, and Bern got 33,000. The cities are getting more money to help pay for whatever
Yeah.
public safety.
For their own public safety.
Yeah.
Is it, the way I look at this then, so for every .01 change in lit, that generates $95,000?
Yes.
All right, so currently you've got a rate of .4 for seated. 0.2 of that goes to hospital, 0.2 of that comes to county. The 0.2 that comes to the county generates $1.9 million, but you divide that by the county's share, the county's only getting half of it. The other half's going to cities and towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right there, a 0.2 generate 1.9, and the seated right there is $1.222 million.
So that shows that like last year, we brought in 2.3 in the economic development fund, and we paid out a little bit over 2 million.
So
we're not
this year's,
corrupting that fund now.
right,
We didn't even save, what, that difference of 275?
so their budget this year though is 1.79.
Yeah, but you gotta count in cities and towns.
No, that's after, that's already been broken out. That's for seated. You're looking at,
I'm talking about seated. County's
We're not
portion.
looking at the whole picture of seated. There's a big spreadsheet that goes into seated.
That's why I asked earlier, because we ran into this with the highway department. With, the funds were growing and we didn't know why, and, why are these here, what is all this? Well, the bridge projects and the road projects that we didn't know about. And I didn't know what all went into this seat and how it's paid out. And that's how I had a problem, or not a problem, an issue, a concern.
but right there, it says 2.44 is your
About taking
seated
it up.
income.
That's your current one, yeah.
25%.
And your budget's
Be-
1.79.
But that, we're not getting that. I proved that with saying,
This is 2023. I know, but you're looking at 2022. This is 2023.
because only half gets paid in. The other half goes to the hospital.
But the hospital is in our budget though.
Half of it goes right to the bond payment.
But that's in our budget though. Like that, when I say one,
Like only half of it is there.
So
The other
you're-
half is coming out when I pay out the seated each month.
Right, but it's still in the budget though. The 1.8 million includes paying the hospital.
You know, we gotta figure this out because the numbers in terms of revenue you can calculate. It's 0.4, 0.2 of that goes to hospital. The county collects all of it, but then distributes it to the hospital to pay on the bond. It's the other 0.2, which is 1.9 million. That gets divided. Well, the county only gets roughly half of that, 0.55. The other goes to cities and towns. And so we can, I mean, that's the revenue. You
No,
can, however you budget it,
the 2.4 is our portion of it.
I don't think that's correct.
Yes, it is. Scroll down a minute. Right there, it's got seated total amount is 3.8, right? On your right side. Where it says current.
Yeah,
Right,
current
over.
is 0.4.
And then if you go over 2 boxes, 3 boxes, whatever that is,
Oh.
that's your total. That's the 3.8. Our portion is the 2.4. That already is divided
Yeah,
out.
2,400,000. So what I did was I said, okay, if she said that half of that is yours, so I just said for kicks, 0.2 would generate 1.9 million, as I heard over there. Out of the 1.9 million, your share of that is 1.22 million of it.
Right, but that whole thing is in our budget. Like, I know we divide the lit money out, but it's still in the budget to give it to them, isn't it?
Not because so the money, the student money comes in, I pay it all into a fund. And then I pay it out to, Monroe, Geneva, Decatur, Bern, in the county, and the hospital. And when I do the hospital's portion, like this year, 101,841.09 comes out of the CEDA fund, and 56,841 comes out of the CEDA fund, or out of the state's fund. So like it's, the hospital, what I pay to the hospital is out of 2 different funds.
So when I look at our fund, for example, fund description, lit economic development, our budget, it's got $800,000 for the hospital inside of the $7.9 million budget.
So if I take out of CEDA, so if you take 101,841 times 12 months, that's 1.222. So right there is half of it's going to the hospital.
Half of the 1.222
So 1.22 is going to
is
the
going to
hospital.
hospital, yeah.
That sounds right.
Half of the 2.4.
So,
That's what I have here. 1.22.
but that's going to the hospital, not in our fund. We're not keeping that. We're giving that to the hospital.
So you have another 800,000 then on top of that, because you've got 800,000 in the budget. Should that 800,000 really be a 1.2? Like, is that budget number wrong? Because inside of your $1.8 million economic development budget is 800,000 for hospital.
Well, in past years,
I
we've
mean,
given,
actually, it's not right because there's only 788,722 in the budget.
in past
That's what I'm
years,
saying.
we've given 700,000 to 800,000 to the highway department, right? We've given, how much do we give Colton ever? I forget.
688 to the hospital, 688 to the highway.
13.
The commissioner's budget was seeded money that comes to the county.
Right here.
This is,
And so they adopt a resolution every 2 years. They have to adopt a spending plan that plans to spend the seeded revenues that they collect, the seeded revenues that they actually collect to the just the county portion, not cities and towns. It's right at $1 million, a little over $1 million. And they budget to spend that roughly. In the past, it was as high as 800,000 or more went to highway. Then the county commissioners budget money for EDC, and they had some other projects that they used those funds for.
Yeah, Mike.
Predominantly, it went for highway. Over the last few years, they've dropped the seeded revenues going to the highway some, because the highway had some other revenues, and those seeded revenues, there was an increase to EDC. There was some money that was used for sewer district in there, and I think they had some 100,000 maybe to council on aging that's in there. So the commissioners are budgeting and spending the money that the county's portion of seeded, and they're not getting more than about $1 million, give or take, because every year we have to nail that down.
right, but what I'm saying is this budget says 1.792, that's a 1.8 million. 788 of that is hospital.
I think that's Well, I think the hospital over the last couple of years have not taken all the money. They've actually given, there was a credit, or I remember one year it was like $500,000 that they didn't take. And so I think
they refinanced the bond.
I think that's throwing the numbers off. So I don't know, I can't speak to exactly how it's being budgeted, but just from an income standpoint, the income lines exactly up with what we're getting.
And we
I
do
think we're
usually-
saying the same thing. It's just that when you say that we're dividing the half to the hospital, that's still, from the state's perspective, that CEDAT money is still coming to us. Which is the 2.4. We then have decided, commissioners, to give half of that to them.
They didn't, that was done by the entire county years ago when the hospital was built.
I understand that, but it's still, the income versus the budget is still the same.
We do usually always do additional appropriations in CEDAT because CEDAT is one, like when we do budgets here in May, June, we just do what was last year's budget because we don't have next year's numbers yet. So
Well,
like
you
last year,
do.
we did a 272,302 additional in the hospital line item, just the hospital line item in CEDAT. So that's on top of what you're saying, 272,000. So that's why I'm saying they're not bringing in more money. They're not making a savings. So if you drop the rate,
So what I feel like I hear you saying is that this line item that says hospital 788 that we budgeted is wrong. It should be 1.2 million. That's what I feel like I'm hearing you saying,
We're giving them over $1 million a year. I know
even
that.
though we're only budgeting 788. So at some point in time, we must be doing an additional.
we do additionals in CEDAT every single year.
So why don't we just budget that correctly so we don't have to have conversations like this?
We won't have the numbers yet.
Which numbers do we not have?
We won't have the numbers for 24 by the time we do budgets. We never have.
Yes, we will. We have those, and I can actually tell you, we have those lit numbers, estimates from the state,
Yeah.
August 16th. August 16th.
Okay, well, let's move past that portion and get back to, I guess, what I was saying earlier. I'll start there. Taking a 25% hit on the CEDAT has a larger ramification. I think we need to, so let's
When we met
look at everything, I guess.
earlier, I think I'm more comfortable this year reallocating, not necessarily cutting anything at this point to see how things shake out.
One caveat to that, though, if you're just, all you're doing is messing with your property tax relief amount, it's not really a cut, right? Because it's coming up in the property taxes, so you're just changing where it's coming from.
I know,
So if we just
I mean,
slowly phase towards that, I mean, if you're gonna raise public safety and raise 911 and not do anything to the lit, you're raising taxes. You gotta do something to that lit, credit, or else you're going up. So for example, if you make public safety up by 0.4 and you add PSAP by 0.2 or 0.2, you gotta do what he's got that change, that 0.06, to reduce the property tax relief, or you have a net positive, or you're taxing up at this point.
Again, that goes back to Bern and Decatur. It's not an increase in taxes, but
All the rural,
rural areas and the other two towns, people would have to come up with more money out of their pocket. So it is an increase in property taxes to those people that are not in Bern and Decatur.
and Bob mentioned farms. Is that gonna affect agriculture and all the farmland, or is that taxed differently?
They're capped at
Like as a business? I'm not sure how they do that.
Again, that goes back to how you, right now, most of your credits are going to homeowners. And cap two is only getting a 6%, and that's just not farmers, that's nursing homes, rentals, commercial rentals, and farmers. You know, there's like 5 buckets that is cap two. We would have to find an agricultural land to find out what it would be at that point.
Bring mine up.
Okay.
Well, I thought you said bring mine up as in like raise my taxes. I was like, whoa.
get the mouse.
But, you know what I'm saying, if you don't offset the lid, then your income tax.
It's so low where Santa wants to go.
Well, being a farmer, I wouldn't have an address.
No, Rhodes, RHOADES.
Name you are,
RHOADES. And you go, scroll down. Hang on. Pick this one here.
Third from bottom.
That's
This one?
where,
right now you get $45. If you eliminated, probably you'd have to come up with $45 out of your pocket.
yeah, that's a 32 acre parcel.
But your income tax would be less.
No, if you status quo in that you didn't change the rate at all.
Right, if you didn't change the rate at all.
All you're doing is moving the 0.04 and the 0.02 and lowering your credit. Now at that point, it's a little, instead of $45 off the top of my head, it'd be $5 more out of your pocket. At most. Divided by, you said 32 acres.
That's a 32 acre parcel.
So $5 divided by 32 gets you per acre out of the top of my head.
60, or 6 cents. 60 cents.
Yeah, 60, yeah, okay. So again, you're so small of amount currently. Again, it goes back to, right now you have a perfect opportunity to rearrange this stuff, not affecting that many people. 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, yeah, it is going to be a game changer.
So, I mean, the thing I'm worried about, like, I would love to cut it, but if we did that, I mean, you mentioned the last time you were here, I mean, you predict in 4 or 5 or 6 years that we'll have to raise it from where we have it now. Why is that?
Raise which talking about?
Yeah,
Our income.
oh, given time, if you phase it out or the state does away with, either way, people have to pay their own bills.
No, I mean,
But
the
the flip side of that, as your rates keep going up, you start hitting caps, you won't be able to generate revenue. Therefore, the only way to generate new revenue, if everyone's capped out, again, burn indicator, you're capped out. The only way burn indicator can get more money currently is assessments going up right now. But with the housing, no, the next 2 or 3 years, assessments are going to flatline or go down. So now you're going to see a drop in revenue. So the only other way to get money is through income taxes. And currently you're at 1.6 and the average is 2.5. And therefore, given time, you would have to end up increasing your income tax.
But this is only if the size of government grows faster than the underlying thing that it's taxing, right? Like if your property values are going up at, say, 5% a year and your wages are going up at 5% a year, our revenue should be going up roughly 5%. So if we need more revenue, meaning continue to raise tax rates like they've been doing for property tax, that's really the only time you would need to find more revenue. Because if you're
Yeah,
going
honestly,
faster than the base.
the more I'm learning about your data, I don't see you raising income taxes.
Yeah, with the numbers,
You're doing
I guess that's what we're
phenomenally
looking at.
compared to, if I'm in 57
The dollar
county
value.
data, you're on that one end that you're not going to see,
Yeah, I mean,
you don't need
Yeah,
to
granted,
raise your income
everything stays the
taxes
same.
For a
It
long
should
time.
grow according
for
to
some time,
the
yes.
percentage based.
Unless some drastic thing happens at the state that, as you know, they keep changing rules on that.
So I have a question. The PSAP, if they do the PSAP, that money stays in the county. It does not get distributed out to the cities and towns.
Correct. That's off the top first. So,
But our 911 takes care of all the county and city anyway.
Yeah,
Cities.
never had.
well,
will.
it's like the public safety, $380,000 at a .04 generates $380,000. but you, as a county government, only get 229,000 of that. Now, the flip side, PSAP though, that .02, you get the whole $190,000. Nobody else gets to share in that.
Right, but for here in Adams County, our 911 covers the county and the cities.
Exactly.
So it's the city.
The PSAP is the
Cities do
most
benefit
sensible
from it.
thing in that all taxpayers are paying for 911.
Right.
In Grant County, as an example, only county government, Marion, and Gas City and Jonesboro, 4 units of government out of 9 are paying for the PSAP. The other towns don't pay a dime.
Well, that's what's happening here right now. We don't have PSAP.
Exactly what's happening.
Counties.
Ambulance service,
It's
EMS,
a good thing, and it's the
Yes,
right thing
it's-
to do.
if you
That's one of
had
the
a
things that my
qualified
points are is
that
counties
you
who don't
currently
invest
pay
in
for
the
an
city.
So
ambulance
like right
service.
now, we pay like almost $376,000 out of our county general to our hospital for EMS.
But that means you don't qualify then because you don't have
It's not
yourself.
our
County
EMS.
government doesn't have ambulance
It would
service.
have to be our actual,
That is my understanding, yes.
Unless we contract for it, but we're contracting for it now, but that could be done.
Again, you'd have to check with the auditor state and DLGF to find what are the conditions. I know Wells County just made it where Wabash didn't. And they both went and asked the same question. They said, oh, Wabash, no, sorry, you don't get it. Well, oh, what would you just, because of whatever reason, they did, they implemented it and,
so like if we did qualify for it, they added it, the money, we could pay the EMS out of that, and it would not come out of our county general out of property.
exactly. Like 911, it'd be right off the top because it technically also is under public safety, but it's a bucket by itself.
Is that something you're gonna check on, Mark?
Yeah,
To see if we qualify, right?
yeah, because that means, that makes some sense. EMS has always been, provided by county, and the hospital's been the provider, but if that can be funded by, whatever, we'd have to look and see what it would take for E911 to also be the qualified EMS provider, however that works, by contract, and then you institute the PSAP tax, and then all that money can go towards 911 and EMS right off the top.
Well, but they're two separate ones though.
Yeah, they're separate.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the example is Wells County,
We know we can do PSAP.
yeah, Wells County implemented a EMS at half what they needed. And, well, actually, they did the EMS at what they needed, but they did not increase the public safety, the full rate. That when you added the EMS, the PSAP, and the public safety, they only increased the overall by half of what they wanted. What happened is like here, you're getting $1.4 million currently in public safety because the other units here are also getting public safety. What they did is they implemented EMS, but didn't increase the overall rate of public safety as much. So now they only got, in your case, say the county got 1.2 million and the other units, it says 600, they got 500. The bottom line, everyone got less public safety because now they're fully funding their EMS for their ambulance service.
So is that an example where the combined rate then for EMS, PSAP, and public safety can exceed a threshold?
They took all those off. Again, it goes back to, the only one offhand that I can remember is lit correctional rehabilitation is 0.2 limit. All the others, my understanding is 2.5 total.
That's the jail lit. that you're
The
talking
jail lit correctional rehab, that's at 0.2 for 22 years. But the example is your shares, if only thing you had was shares, 2.5, or public safety, 2.5. Any one of these can be 2.5, but the sum of any of these, again, is 2.5. So it's just a matter of, again, they keep taking the restrictions off. You go back 5 years ago, yeah, public safety was 0.2.
Right, I remember that.
Seated was a quarter.
Yeah, well, I think when we did the jail, I think at that point, we implemented 0.25 public safety, but we also had to do 0.25 property tax relief at that time.
You're right.
It ended up being
15, 12, 15 years, you're right. To get a public safety, you had to do a lit credit.
That's how that worked.
Yes. But see, now they've done away with that because again, they're trying to phase out credits and they're saying, look, let's pay your bills.
Right.
And then they took away the requirement to do lit credits to bills, now public safety. But for a time there, you're right, it was 0.25, but now it's not.
Yep.
Like I said, the last thing I know is the jail lit is the only one. Again, the way you ask a question, if you didn't have a PSAP, you could implement a 0.2 rate yourself. But then go higher than that, you had to go to the tax court. But then again, you're at 55%, you can do anything you want. You see, every time you ask a question, they're looking at what does the law say? You have a right to do one thing, but ultimately at 55%, you can do anything you want. So you got to keep asking questions different ways to the DLGF to get a straight answer.
Yeah.
The thing I know for a fact is jail is 0.2 for 22 years, because that's what I'm trying to get Grant County helping with. The rest of this is 2.5 as a whole. And any one bucket can be that, or the combination of all the buckets can be that.
And right now, we would be at 0.25 plus 0.374 is where we're at now. Since we don't have a PSAP. We've got the public safety, which is at 0.25.
Right.
And that's the jail bonds. And then we've got 0.374 property tax relief.
The property tax relief is not part of the 2.5 though.
It is, okay.
That's why you can actually have a 3.5 as a tax rate. Yeah, I saw your eyes. This gentleman here would be going nuts if I said you can go 3.5 when you're at 1.624.
Right.
So you're way low on what you can do, but you don't need to do that. And that's why he's trying to lower your income taxes. I'm here saying the most part is you have the option right now, the best option you've had for some time, to rearrange what you've got. Whether you lower it or not, that's up to you and playing with numbers. But you've already told me you're having problems with your 911.
And public safety.
And I was just going to say that. And ambulance service, you need to research to find out what can you do to do that.
Right.
But that wouldn't have to change the 0.25. How much money? You said roughly 300,000. That would take a 0.04 rate to get $380,000. You could actually, if you qualify, if you got somehow to get qualified, you could still keep your public safety at 0.25. It's just now you wouldn't be getting 1.4 million for public safety, and the other units wouldn't be getting their share, because now you're off the top saying, here's EMS, we need $380,000.
And I think I heard you say for every, is it 0.02 produces 190,000?
It's real simple, 95,000 for every click.
0.01.
0.01 is 95,000. It's whether you're taking one up or down, it's going to affect it by $95,000.
Because I think I heard, earlier we talked about 990,000 if we started a PSAP at 0.2, that would generate.
$190,000.
Now is that a PSAP at 0.02 or?
Yeah, it's 0.02. I just got tired of
Sorry.
points in here.
0.02, gotcha.
Yeah, over here, when I give you your rates, I do it the way the state wants to see it.
Okay.
It's just, decimal points get tiring.
Yep, okay. Well, we'll definitely look into that.
That's why I created this worksheet, so you can play around and have fun with it to see how you can move things around.
Yeah, can you email that to me?
Yeah, the auditor,
The auditor have it?
yeah, because he emailed it to all these people.
All right, wonderful.
Now, yes, by August 17, 15, 17, the state will give us estimated
New
revenues.
Yeah.
And I never rely on that. It's late October, early November when they give us the certified rates, and they always go down. Every August, like, yeah, I wish we got that money.
That's what I try to say all the time. Yes, we get estimates. Estimates are never what we actually get certified. That's where you see the difference.
In the 12, 15 years I've been doing this, they're almost consistent of being around 4 to 5% too high. Every third or fourth year they were under, but
So when we're looking at our budget though, that means we got to compare what the estimate is of income and bring it down. So our budget needs to be inside of that.
yes,
Yes.
never strap yourself. Always, I've told so many counties, always be pessimistic about the state. They're not helping you.
I know you have no crystal ball here, but if you were a betting man, how long do you think it'll be before the state gets rid of that property tax relief completely? I know there's no way for you to know that, but
No,
if you
I
just-
know that. If you'd asked me 3 months ago, I would have said they're on track to do it within 3 years. Now with all the, I got to read what you just gave me, but with assessments going up so much,
The problem is the assessments are gonna flatten out and go back down. They shouldn't have messed with it. What they're gonna do now is affect 24 and 25 by giving more on homestead credits, raising the limits and.
yeah, because it's real
being
simple.
pessimistic about the state.
30% of the people that didn't have a mortgage are the ones that have nice homes, that they got the full amount of the $45,000. Now they're going to get $48,000 and but lose the mortgage. But tit for tat, they're still going to get that deduction. On the other hand, like I said, 30% of those people didn't have a mortgage. So now they're going to get $3,000 that they weren't getting before. Now, the poor people of an $80,000 home are just going to lose the $3,000 mortgage because it's 60%. It's 60, 48. 6 times 8 is 48. So anyone with an $80,000 home or below are just going to flat out pay more taxes. So probably someone here, someone figured that out and they're trying to give some other relief a different way.
Couple different ways.
Yeah, okay. Again, that goes back to, the betting man now is, we're going into a big election next year, presidential election. That always, makes legislators think twice. So more likely, it's more like 5 more years is before I see them doing away with these credits because it's such a hot topic now. Because of, now, when the trend goes down and we flatline or the assessment starts going down again, then they're going to say, oh crap, look, county governments are complaining about the revenue stream. But then you got radio people that don't know what they're talking about. The one place I listen to where I am is Indianapolis, and he's saying the Indiana government has like umpteen billions of dollars of surplus. Why aren't they giving property tax relief? It's like, dude, you don't even understand. Property taxes are the county level, not income tax. If they have $5 billion in surplus, we don't get it. Again, you got too many people not knowing the information.
Property taxes are county level, but you don't have a whole lot of control.
Exactly.
I mean, the state controls it.
But it has nothing to do with the radio announcer telling people that you need property tax relief, and the state has nothing to do with that.
Hey, Darren, is
Yes.
the process then for implementing either the PSAP or the EMS lit, that's the same process, income tax council, has to initiate that, has to be done prior to August 1st or September 1st?
Is it the end of September?
October, if you want to start in January.
The end,
Number one.
the beginning of October?
Yeah, that's right, October 1st, we have to
October.
certify.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it's the,
You have to have 30 days in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so the bottom line is, the end of September, the taxing board, but at 55%, it's a mute issue.
Yeah.
The council here decides on it, sends the paperwork, as long as you get it in there soon enough to make sure all your i's are dotted and t's crossed. That, because if you wait till last minute and you go past the deadline and you found out you didn't get something right, they won't honor it. I've had 3 counties of mine do that. That's why you should get it done sooner than later. Yeah, as in, you should probably try to get it down there by the end of July to make sure everything's right, so that they get approval in August. Because if you get it done in August or late August, now you're pushing the envelope if something wasn't right.
You have to figure out exactly what council's direction is. How you gonna move it? You're gonna do PSAP, you're gonna add some to public safety, you're gonna look at EMS, whatever. If you wanna get it by the end of July, and you're still, I assume that 30-day.
It's about a 30-day window once we initiate the process to actually get it approved and then get it certified down. So that means, yeah, definitely would want to get it started, maybe get that done by end of July.
And I just remember, being that you're a taxing board, you still got, when you pass it here, you've got 30 days to give it to your taxing board, even though they don't have the majority, you still have, they have to verify it. Even if they ignore it, it's still a no vote, but you got the majority, so it's a yes. So if you got it done by the end of July, technically you can't submit it to the state for approval because the taxing board has to get it through there. That means the end of August.
Yeah, they got 30 days to act on it, I think, but they changed the statute. They don't even have to hold a meeting.
Exactly.
But I think you're right. They've got, from the time this board, the income tax council or the county council, if they pass it, then there's a 30-day window, right? where
And
they-
the
they don't say
DLGF
hold
will
a
not,
meeting, But they don't.
yeah, the DLGF will not look at, they'll look at when you passed it, add 30 days and say, okay, we're not gonna look at it. I don't care that you got majority. The law says 30 days, so until even if they ignore it, they don't have a vote, they have a meeting, until that 30 days is up. So again, really at that point, you should be looking at the middle of July to get this thing passed, or sooner. That way you know you're not taking chances. That gives you 2.5 months.
That's plenty of time.
I mean, we got it boiled down. I think we know everything. Now it's just a matter of which numbers you want to go with, basically.
Well, we need to, if we can find out too about if we qualify for EMS, which Mark's gonna look into.
Yeah. That's
So
kinda-
in other words, he has to get the ball rolling on the EMS as soon as he
Yep.
can.
I'm more inclined
always not as big of a deal.
to forego the PSAP and have it go all to lit public safety. I mean, all work on that, property tax relief. Start winding that down if it's gonna go away anyhow, and then we're not gonna have to draw any other funds from any other pool.
Well, what Corey's saying though is, I mean, that is a tax increase to some people and he'd like to offset that. I don't necessarily disagree.
So for example, just throwing numbers out there, right? If public safety goes down by 0.4, or goes up by 0.4, sorry, and then even if you okay, let's just leave that for now. That would take care of,
5.0.
yeah, sorry, because he's translating it, yeah. So that would, that would put both of those accounts back in the positive with 40, 50, something like that, thousand extra per year. And then if you drop that one, over like I had said before, over the 3 years, you just phase it down. So basically, yeah, like that. Then some people who live out in the county we'll see a little bit of property tax go up, but your overall rate at this point is down by, what are you down by?
0.024 is why I just played around. I was just trying to get rid of that 0.004 number.
0.001, you said?
1.624, and if you dropped it by 0.104, you'd have a 1.58.
So, you know, you were looking at the different amounts. When he told you, when you said 600, that was completely getting rid of it, wasn't it? Like you looked at his and it was like $600.
Oh, yeah,
But that was
600
completely
and,
getting rid of it, I think.
The farmland was $45.
So just even that little bit of a property tax or a income tax cut, it looks like average household income in Adams County is 56,000. So it'd be an $80 decrease in income tax. So in terms of like, you know, what's the deal? I mean, you're just transferring it is mostly what you're doing.
What you don't want to do is eliminate this and not increase these. And then a year or two later, also want to increase these.
Yeah.
Which I think
You don't lower your income tax rate to, oh, come back later and increase
That's
it back.
exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to do that.
Which is why I think you do it kind of over 3 years, and each year, if you need something, do it while you're lowering the other one.
Again, yeah, there's my point.
But the overall, I mean, if overall you get it down, I mean, that's what I was saying before, right now we are 30, we're number 30 out of 92, which is 33%. You know, if you were,
That's still pretty good though.
it is, I want to get to a number that Colton can go out and say, hey, we're top 10%, we're top 15%, you know, a number that you can actually sell. Top third is good. I don't know if you can sell it, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that dropping it is gonna create that significant of a difference in selling the county. Not to push back against your point, but I just don't know that that's gonna be a huge factor. I think people don't necessarily look at that, like business property taxes, that's advantageous for businesses, but I don't think if people are looking to move here, that they're really gonna say, especially when we're already pretty good compared
That's what I was going to say is,
that it's really gonna be a huge factor. For some, maybe, but I think that's a small percentage of people who are gonna look at that as a decision factor when the tax rate is already low compared to our surrounding area.
If you ask people, they probably don't know. I've asked a lot of people here lately since we've been talking about this, and they like laugh at me. They're like, "You have no idea what it is."
well, I don't
And if
think
we're
that
gonna
person
move,
does.
we should look for jobs, housing.
Well, I think you can pair this with, so the presentation we saw the other night, these guys made it, I'll try to synopsize some of it, I can't put everything in it, but essentially for years, up through the, 60s, 70s, even 80s, the philosophy was, bring these jobs right here, and you're gonna have people come to it. Now, that's not so much the case. Now, it's more so bring the people here and the jobs will come to it. And they showed data to back that up. And so what people are looking for these days, I mean, it's a different world from, honestly, from when I was a kid. I feel like when I was a kid, it was more about surviving and getting through life, where now, people are looking at your schools, your safety, your parks, what services you provide, what's aesthetically, what's the place look like? And that's why, I was talking with Mayor Rickard after that a little bit, and he made the comment, we've talked about Jay County before in here, and what they look like, and you and I discussed it before, and how maybe they don't look as great as they could. Well, they've lost like 3,000 or 4,000 people in their population. So when you're losing people, you're losing your tax base. And so we need to look at what it takes to grow that tax base. And part of that is using our money effectively. I don't want to raise anything, but our property taxes do by nature go up with, you said, we control, that's what I'm saying, we don't control it. We've had these talks with the DLGF, and that money's getting collected. If we don't take our levy, they're just going to give it to somebody else is the problem.
right.
Some other entity. And I mean, it might cut our property taxes a little, but not enough to make a difference. And then the difference would be is we'd have way less of our own money to spend. And that would get us in trouble. And that's why, you know, I don't know what the solution to that is aside from gut the system and start it over. But so anyways, again, this was a very interesting presentation and, you know, so we need to be very good stewards with the money that we have, hopefully not raising any more, but I'm leery of cutting this and then having to raise it again.
I can tell you this much is whatever, being your rate is so low, most of the counties that are raising are the ones already raised. So in other words, someone at 2 is going to 2.2, 2.3, you know, the bottom line, you're so low, you're going to stay there. Because, you know, very few of the ones below you are going to be raising theirs because they like having the low rates.
Mhm.
But again, you're so low, I think you're doing great.
If people look for services, I mean, I don't know their population necessarily. I've actually looked it up before, but I don't remember. But I think Bluffton, when you drive through Bluffton, it looks nice. I think they do a nice job over there overall. But, you know, their income tax rate is well, at least half a point higher than ours. And, you know, so that overall, I think we're in decent shape. I think we want to control it and be, like I said, be good stewards of our money and put our money towards things that are going to draw people into our communities here.
I know from my travel, being I'm in 72 of the 92 counties, not just because I'm an internet based, but people work from home. I know you don't have much control over that, but the high-speed internet
Well, it's
anywhere
funny.
in your county.
Yeah, it's funny. So we've talked a lot about that a lot in here too. And matter of fact, I stopped at a thing that Watch Communications was having, asked them about that because that's another thing that came up in that presentation is working from home is a big deal. And
Kids want to watch streaming. You know,
Well,
there's just so much the internet drives people
even,
now.
yeah, and even e-learning. And so,
Yes.
you know, one of the things that we do need to focus on, again, hopefully not spending all of our money to do it, but we do need to get a county-wide internet, good service throughout this county. I mean, that's a big thing towards economic development right there.
Yes.
And
There's supposedly federal money that some counties have been telling me about.
yeah, and they're like, for example, this is only Watch. I talked to them, but I think I sent you guys, a couple of you guys, an email that I got from AT&T to my county address as well. And they listed some counties they're working with. This is off topic. We should talk about it some other time, but it's still. What I'm getting at though is that's the whole traditional thing of, I mean, I'm with you on that. I'd love that thought of doing that. I just don't know if it's the smartest thing to do right now.
Well, I think you don't want to make sudden moves. That's why, you know, Excel had sent out basically graduates it in over 3 years or 4 years, whatever it was. But, you know, I think to the point about, I think whenever you're in the middle of the pack, like what you were saying, Bree, no one notices you in there. And I think when I say middle of the pack, I mean anywhere other than maybe top 10, 15%. When you're not in that number, nobody really cares. But when you hit the pollers, you know, all the way in the top or all the way at the bottom, that is when people notice. And so I'm hoping to break away from the pack and say, we're not with everybody else. Let's do something that actually gets, you know, actually does draw people, a number that you actually could tout and go out and talk about.
I don't know who the top 10 is now.
I listen to Aaron. It's basically Porter,
I mean, off
Pikes.
the top of my head, like just.
Well, you know.
I know
right,
what
but
you're saying, but I don't think about it either. I mean, I'm in the business of thinking about it and I don't, you know, what's our tax rate in, you know, relative to the rest of counties?
Yeah.
I'm not sure anybody.
Overall,
Very
honestly,
many
I don't
people.
think we're not in bad shape when it comes to that, but back to the issue at hand though, really, we needed to fund 911 and our public safety. So I really would prefer to do that by reallocating these funds somehow. I think a PSAP is the right way to go with that. That way everybody's paying for that. Because as soon as that stuff consolidated, the county took it all over. And so this puts that burden on everybody if we take PSAP out of there.
So how do you feel about those numbers altogether though? Like what we just, no, we can't see it in a second, but I mean, that basically balances those funds out, begins the phase out of the other one. You do have a lower rate, at least for the first year, but your actual revenue is, honestly, your actual tax revenue is going up, not down.
Right.
Are you able to get back to that screen by chance?
I had a tax rate scheduled. I couldn't find it, this stupid one. So what do you want?
I mean, how do you guys feel about those numbers right there?
So the overall rate's still 1.624, right?
No, it ends at 1.58.
I just threw in there
Oh,
0.014. I mean,
But the reason it's going down is because of that basically transferring those property tax credits over to the property tax bills. So that's why I say your actual, like, tax dollars is going up by public safety and 911.
So we're dropping it by 0.24, 0.024?
correct, there's no EMS at this point. Again, you don't have to change the tax rate. It just means
Or
public
0.044.
safety would drop
Yeah,
for
you're
all
4
units
plus 2 minus 10.
to fund the E EMS.
0.4. So yes, yeah.
0.04.
0.14, something like that.
Whatever that is, I don't know.
Yeah, 0.04
1.4.
dropping it by
would generate
0.044.
380,000.
But that's the total amount. His portion would actually be the amount up higher, right?
Oh, sorry, would,
The 380 is not the total amount of new tax. Well, it is, but not for us.
oh,
Right.
no,
Our
no,
portion is
that's
like
229,000. But
And you're in the
EMS,
whole 180.
he was asked about EMS. EMS would be the $380,000
Oh,
because it is a bucket by itself, just like
if you
PSAP
do
is.
that, yeah. But if you just ignore EMS for now, because just ignore that. Your budget, public safety would go up by the 220. You're in the whole 180. Your 911 is in the whole 145, I think, and it would go up
190.
190. So you're in the positive for both of those now.
I still don't, I don't like that PSAP. I think it should all go to all public safety.
It can't be paid out of public safety. What do you want to pay 911 with?
Public safety means you're
Or-
sharing it with the other towns. That's the difference.
911 is its own thing. PSAP pays for the 911. And 911 is used by everybody.
Here's the example. If I did away with the PSAP, put it at 0, and increase public safety to 6, your 229 becomes 344. See, the public safety gets split. You share it with the other 5 other
You're still
units.
not paying for your 911.
It wouldn't be fully funded after the 3 years.
The
You're not
911,
putting any money towards it. Public safety does not pay for 911.
No.
E911 pays 911.
But that is trending toward,
I
we're
think-
in the negative on it.
I think if you do that, the way you would want to explain this to the cities for that 911 is, look, since the landlines are going down, the fees coming from those landlines are going away. We are not getting funded that way. We get a little bit from the cell phones now, but it's not making up the difference. And at some point, that's where we're stuck.
And by taking that money off the top for 911, that, everybody in the county then is paying for 911. And that's, that's, to me, that's as fair as it can get.
Everybody who has a W-2 job. People who are paid with 1099s. don't pay any of this. That's about a third of your account.
Yeah, I thought the public safety helped pay into that E911. It doesn't.
That's still
The
true,
public
that's still
safety's
true of what's happening now,
0.25, and
though.
that's tied
They're
to
not
your
paying
jail
that right now
bonds
either.
indirectly.
Yeah, they're not paying it right now.
Yeah. I mean, we continue with the we still have the E911 fund that is funded by the phone lines and all that stuff, but we need to supplement it now because it's running short.
Who's driving that thing?
There.
What was the
I'm sorry.
public, or the, new? Oh, point two.
It's basically working towards phasing it out over 3 years is what that's looking at. It's taking a third in year one.
So what I have the ability is, it reduces by $990,000. And that's what I was doing here, was dropping your 3.88 million down to 3 million, which means then I've got to change the rates
Yeah.
on my calc.
Times 95,000, then it would split out. Everything. That would be
Homeowners would look at a 3% increase. Copy that. Uh,
Hey Darren, you know, on the public safety, we've got 0.25 on public safety right now, and that's basically, that's an offset of county general for our jail bonds, but that 0.25, I think that gets split with cities and towns, right?
Yeah, your portion of the 0.25 right now generates 1.4 million for
Okay,
county.
yeah. It's about 55%, which is about what our income tax share is on the income tax council. Is that how that splits out?
Seated, public safety, everything, the state has their own map. The only way I was able to get these numbers was to say, here is what was collected.
Average house would be 2.
And they have a report, what got dispersed. And
But the 6.
I just did simple math by taking what they gave you divided by what the whole was to get a percentage.
Yeah, so we're getting about 1.4 million.
Yes,
You're saving.
for public safety currently.
Okay.
I would
And
get it.
yeah, that's what
And so the
because I
6
just took 25 times 95,000, and that is,
You know what I mean? So
because since it's 0.25, see, 25 times 95,000 is 2,375,000. And roughly, you know, I know income tax council, I don't know if we're 57% or what we are, might be that. So anyway, it's right in those numbers. It's right at that wheelhouse of what you just said. It's right there.
Okay. What I was doing here was your current homestead is 21% for a homeowner and 6.7% at cap 2. By losing the $990,000, you're losing, a homeowner have to pay about 5%. They're going to lose 5% of the credits they get now. How about that? If they were getting $100, they're going to get $95. And looks like 0.5% of cap 2. So they're getting, again, $100, they're gonna lose, you know, what, 0.5% of, too many numbers in my head now. It's not very much at this point. What you're trying to move around is very insignificant of amount.
But with the PSAPs, we don't have the PSAP 911 lit at the present time or the EMS lit. But if we did implement that, and that, since that's all being provided by the county now, if we implemented that, then that revenue would all go to the county. That doesn't get split with cities and towns, correct?
PSAP, yes, goes directly
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of EMS.
to 911 fund.
I'm actually,
The reason why I say it that way is the state, when you ask them, if your city, Decatur, was paying for 911, managed it, they would get the money.
so
Whoever manages 911 gets this off the top.
Yeah, that's county.
And in this case,
For
it's the
example,
county, so yeah, the 190,000 for the county to pay.
See that needs to go down by 0.2 or something else that go down by 0.2.
right.
Other questions we have about 10 minutes to 4. We just want to get Darren an office here somewhere, so we can go over this council meetings of the year.
I got a pretty cheap room over, so.
Full maintenance.
Listen,
You're not gonna walk in this.
so we're looking at 2 or 3 years.
I'm sorry.
So we're looking 2 or 3 years down the road.
Okay.
And, the assessments have leveled off or even maybe went down a little, although that doesn't happen nearly, it doesn't go up, down nearly as fast as it goes up.
Oh, correct, yes.
But, so our property taxes would, these would level off.
Means
I'm
your
just-
growth, your rate has to go up.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
the rate's just naturally gonna go up, I understand.
I think the way you gotta look at it, though, tell me if I'm wrong, is that basically it's still gonna go back to wages at the end of the day, because if your wages are going up over a 7-year average, then your growth,
Your income tax,
knowing how things go around here, you're gonna raise the rate, whatever it takes to offset the value to make it, so even if your value goes down, I guess is everyone's gonna wanna raise those rates to get their maximum levy.
Like you said, assessments went up, therefore your rate went down, even though your growth, you need more money, but your assessment went up higher, then, so therefore your rates.
But what I'm saying is knowing the way that things work around here, if the assessed value did go down, then you would think that would mean less revenue, but the reality is the state's still gonna come in and say your growth quotient, because based on wages, over the last 7 years is a 5% increase, so your levy.
I did hear about that they're, gonna limit now the
quotient.
growth. I heard one county told me 4%, another one said 5%. They're definitely not gonna go above 5.
Okay, because in the past, what the rule right now is in the last 7 years, average, whatever your wage increase was, non-farm wages, then you can index. So if that's still an amount, and they said 5% wage equals 5% levy increase, even if your assessed value is down, your rate's just gonna go way up. Your rate never.
That's why it's trying to go back
No,
through.
because all the complaints, they're saying, no, that, because this, but one time we had 2.7.
Yeah, this year was
But-
5%.
Was it 5? I thought.
I get that,
The bottom line is they will not let it go
they do not.
higher. No matter what the numbers say, if it required a 7%, they're saying, no, ain't gonna happen.
what I was trying to think about in the future is, okay, they level off, and yes, I understand the rate will go up automatically to that point.
That's 0.02.
But then, I was trying to think of, let's say we hit,
Just points or
a recession. The county income of its residents goes down, so therefore our income tax goes down. That's the kind of stuff a little that's what makes me nervous. And
Phil's calculations, so that, because they're,
totally on board with wanting to do that.
it
I'm
reads,
just nervous about the future. If that happens
Screwed up.
right now, we're staring at a recession right in the face with this idiot we have in office.
And I don't really kind of counter my own argument, I guess, but technically, if that were to happen, the way the growth quotient is now, it's over 7 years, so you have to see.
We don't have property taxes.
Well, but you know, I mean, I'm balancing out, right? So like, if you're saying your income still goes far away, right? So if you hit a recession, the wage, like, if they because
Yes.
people are making less money. It looks like. This model here, less will say.
got two things.
I got one car.
Right now, 911 information. So I wonder, not the urban EMS. Utilities and transportation. I wonder, did Wells County, did they, does Wells County Commissioners contract for EMS service?
It's really not a tax cut. You're just basically.
I have no idea how this will, I just know that last year they
Essentially, you're
qualified for
transferring,
having EMS
lowering your
funds.
income tax rate.
Somehow they told me
I don't
Other
think we
than
should.
to try to correct
that they had,
It's not time.
And there's another thing. too.
somehow some hospitals were sold, they
Being where we're
generated
located, we got a lot of people living that work in Adams County,
growth
and they have to
fund or
pay that
something.
local
But the
income.
problem is, they were getting the money.
Local income.
Problem is, just cost so much.
What those-
The way the principals
Can I
have
have
the
that?
interest in
Get
the money.
leave
So
Stop.
somehow, some way, they were able to get EMS. Because the reason why I know that, they had changed all their rates last year, because one of the buckets they had was no longer valid.
Yeah, okay, I remember hearing about
We
that.
don't.
See, we, hospital provides EMS, but we pay them every year.